This was filmed at low tide on the outside of the Breakwater at Victoria, British Columbia. Each block is roughly 3 feet tall and nicely divides the tidal and sublittoral regions. The top blocks, currently above the surface, are covered in the hardiest filter feeders, barnacles and limpets. They can survive drying out. The next block down is covered in a plethora of algae and sponges, feasted upon by chitons, limpets, and whelks. There is also nori, a seaweed. Branching Caroline seaweed covers the top of the next block down. This thick bed is only possible in the more protected sublittoral region. The sponges and algae support such a vibrant ecosystem that would require frame-by-frame analysis to identify all the different grazers. The easiest to identify are the chitons. They appear to be dark oval blotches on the rock face. The rock face is home to a variety including mossy, woody, lined, hairy, and black chitons. The largest chiton is the gumboot chiton, which is found at deeper waters. It is impressive how just 3 feet further down we have far less biodensity. Down here we start to see the larger kelp, like sugar kelp, stiff striped seaweed, and ribbon kelp. The stalks make an excellent home for all the animals that pick out of the current. Feasting on the kelp itself are the aptly named kelp crabs. Almost every stalk has a kelp crab. This one currently in view is a northern kelp crab. This was filmed in January, so the adults just came back from mating in the deeper waters. When the camera swings around, you can see just how stunted the kelp forest is. The next block, 3 feet farther down, is home to even less ground cover. Down here, the kelp has to grow towards the surface. Unfortunately, it is too deep for the rover to go, so we won't be able to explore it today. Down here is where we start to see larger animals like rockfish, cabezon, and gumboot chiton. Kelp crabs are responsible for the bare stalks we see here, but the majority of kelp forest loss comes from purple sea urchins eating the holdfasts and uprooting the kelp forest. California has lost over 95% of their kelp forests. The Breakwater ecosystem is towered over by a few solitary individuals. These are bull kelp. Bull kelp is a brown algae capable of growing to 115 feet. These individuals are only about 30 feet. Interestingly, they are an annual, which means each of these is less than a year old. They reach their incredible size by growing up to 10 inches a day. Seaweed is divided into 3 groups: brown, green, and red algae. Red algae has 3 stages of its life cycle, whereas the others just have 2. Surfgrass and eelgrass are actually a flowering plant. The diverse kelp create a multi-storied forest. Perch, like the guy currently in view, hang out in the higher levels. The higher levels are where you'll get the mammalian predators, which is why perch often seek safety in schools. The lower levels will be home to smaller invertebrates and some of the mid-sized ambush predators like cabezon and lingcod. As you can see, or rather, the lack of what you can see is the main reason that animals do not rely on sight for hunting. Some, like harbor seals, will use their whiskers to sense the fish. Others will go along eating stuff directly off the bottom, saves the need to see. The current and wave action provide the nutrients required to support all this kelp and the filter feeders. I want to take this moment to look at some of the filter feeders. We have a variety of encrusting sponges. We also have 2 types of Caroline seaweed, branching and encrusting. While not filter feeders, they do live off all the nutrients. In the upper right corner is a green sea urchin. Sea urchins are echinoderms, the same phylum as starfish. Their predators include wolf eels, starfish, and sea otters. There are red, green, and purple sea urchins, though color is not necessarily an indication of species. Chitons and limpets stick to the rocky surface, but the kelp offers an excellent habitat for more mobile mollusks. The white shells of the dogwinkle are the most distinctive, but you will also find nudibranchs, periwinkles, and whelks. The fish going past is a striped surf perch. Their dark coloring makes them incredibly hard to follow. Interestingly, they give birth to live young.
Barnacles are crustaceans and believed to be one of the oldest surviving creatures on Earth. Barnacles can be split into 2 groups, acorn barnacles and gooseneck barnacles. This barnacle is a mid-sized acorn barnacle. Giant acorn barnacles can reach up to 6 inches across and 12 inches tall. The cracks between boulders offer shelter for more delicate organisms like sea anemones.
While a fish like a perch can swim into the gap, they are unlikely to do so because they do not have enough room to maneuver to avoid any possible predators. Green sea urchin, left side of the wall. Its vertical ascent shows the similarities between sea urchin, sea cucumber, and sea star locomotion. All use tubular feet that can cling to the rock face. It's impressive to consider any predator has to account for their prey's movement and the wave action.
This is a school of tube snout. Their long bodies serve dual purposes. While they are visible from the side, if they turn head-on, they disappear. This makes it incredibly hard for a predator to catch a single fish. In a school, they are almost impossible for a seal or otter to predate. The elongated face allows tube snouts to get close to their prey before sucking it in. The tube snouts are very similar to the larger pipefish. Pipefish is related to the seahorse. Unlike a scuba diver, the marine rover is not considered a threat, and so the tube snouts ignore it, allowing me to view the tube snouts without disturbing the school. The kelp forest severely restricts light from reaching the bottom. Most of the creatures down here live off passing food or the sea bottom itself. A variety of whelks make their home on the stalks, and sea stars prowl the seabed. Sea cucumbers are rare in the intertidal zone. The one hanging out on the left side of the block is probably a California sea cucumber. They are echinoderms, but unlike starfish and sea urchins, the sea cucumber's body runs along the axis of symmetry. The Salish Sea is home to a couple species. The constant wave action cycles nutrients and animals through the kelp forest. This provides food for all the ambush predators, including kelp crabs and groundfish.
One groundfish was hiding just a block above the sea cucumber.
There are over a dozen species of rockfish in the Salish Sea, each with a slightly different color pattern, shape, and feeding habit. A blue rockfish is just visible on the right. Rockfish are ambush predators lying in wait on the seafloor. Their prey includes small fish, invertebrates, crustaceans, and small fish like the perch. As the name suggests, groundfish live near the bottom. They are made up of rockfish, greenling, cabezon, and lingcod.
This video is a hide-and-seek of camouflaged animals. I counted at least 3 rockfish. There were also 2 large anemones. So there's this new powerboat captain. He walks up to the old sailor and asks, "I was out yesterday, saw a whole bunch of buoys, but they were all green. Are there any red ones?" The old sailor looks at him and goes, "None." The new captain goes, "Okay," and he heads off. Next day he's out, passes a green one, then he passes a red one, then he passes a green one, and another red one. I guess that old sailor's waterlogged.